I have pondered what to talk about in today's office hours, and it's still autumn. So I want to stick with the theme of rider position. And there is a very specific instruction that we can find in every legitimate riding manual in history. But it is so grossly overlooked and omitted these days. And that is straight line elbow to bit. Now, the instructions we've been given is there should always be a straight line elbow to bit. Yet we see this. We see this. We see everything but a straight line elbow to bit. And I won't have it. So this is an illustration from a photograph of straight line elbow to bit. Hopefully we are now screen sharing. I don't see my face now, so I don't know if I screwed this up. Hang on. Oh, I think it's working. Okay. You are screen sharing. I hope you're seeing this. I'm not sure, but I think you are. Okay. So the outline of the horse we can see is going uphill. It's carrying itself uphill. The rider, we can see that there is a straight plumb line, ear, shoulder, hip, heel. Now, do you remember how the Duke of Newcastle, in his instructions to de Ligonier last week, said that, let me get my little pointer. I think I can use this little pointer. So the elbow here, it should be going down into the rider's hip. And then we can see this is an absolutely straight line elbow to bit. And the hand is along this straight line. We really could never, it is impossible to have a correct hand until this is established, until there's base of support, triangle of the seat is secure adhesive. This makes the arrangement of the straight line, ear, shoulder, hip, heel possible. The shoulder being of primary importance because the shoulders of the rider are dropping down the back of the rider, and this means that the upper arm is hanging down. Only then can this straight line be established, the straight line elbow to bit. I call it hashtag SLETB or hashtag straight line elbow to bit. For being such a very reiterated instruction, it's very rare to see these days. But it is so necessary if there is to be consistent through-going contact back to front. Now, so if you're teaching someone who's all everywhere, first we have to go in order. So base of support, everything's hanging down. Then you're going to be more apt to have the straight line elbow to bit. And when I'm teaching, I say this, I say, include the meat of the back of your arm in your straight line elbow to bit. This helps riders to get this upper arm hanging down by its own weight, the weight of the arm, the weight of the limbs is how I think Steinbrecht puts it on page 8 or 9. Check me on that. I think it's at the bottom of page. So great the way he says it. That it's the weight of the limbs that, or that the weight of the limbs find their resting place. So my elbow my arms are just hanging off my frame. And then I bring my hand to the wither, and then my hand is already going to be in a perfect position, actually, thumbs on top, because of the way the ulna and radius rotate around each other. I'm going to bring up something about this straight line elbow to bit that a physical therapist told me that was a real eye opener. First of all, is that the thumb is telling us about the straightness and of the top bone over the other in the forearm. So the thumb is on top in order to keep these bones from rotating around each other and making this corkscrew arm that so many riders have. But the other thing that after she explained that to me, that the thumb is sort of a tattletale of literally the straight line elbow to bit in the bones of the forearm, it then did make me realize that the two bones of the forearm need to be parallel over each other, not rotating around each other. And so that is a way, when you are trying to correct people's position in, especially when we get up to the, I'm pointing at the screen and you're not even seeing whatever. I'm, you know how I'm awkward. I'm not going to explain it. When this correction needs to be dealt with, always start with the big joints first and the big parts first. A professional would say proximal to distal, inside out. So big joints first. Got to have a base of support first, then hanging down, ear, shoulder, hip, heel. Those are the biggest joints. Arm is hanging down, and then the joints are getting smaller and smaller as we go down this line. But here's the main point I'm trying to make, is that this arrangement is only possible with the hanging of the upper arm. And this is in a jumper, in a correct equitation or jumper rider, the arm, when the rider's upright, the shoulders are dropping down the back, regardless of the hip angle over a fence. The upper arm is hanging down, and the elbow is always the heaviest part of the arm. So the elbow is the heaviest part of the arm here. And then the hand is naturally going to be placed in the withers, flanking the withers. I always think that I touch the withers with both my hands, because we all are prone to that domed left hand and widen our hands and do crap with it. So I just say, oh, hands are the width of the bit. I'm going to keep them with the withers. And then my hand along the straight line elbow to bit, not going out on its own adventures, along the straight line elbow to bit, manages the length of the rein so that I can therefore connect to his mouth and remind him to stay loose. And on pretty rare occasions that I actually need a rein to steer, then I will have one-sided rein action. But if my horse is trained from behind properly forward, then usually my rein action is limited to shortening the inner rein when I engage inside, which is frequent, but it's not like I'm really using the reins to steer. I'm just maintaining contact. And so, and contact only exists in this system that you see here. No one can talk about contact, like no one online, no famous person. There's no contact without the horse in front of the leg first and straight line elbow to bit going forwards. It's going, the going is going through forwards. And another thing about that whole thing about like, where is the energy going? Because people love to be like they're all wizards now with the energy. It's only going one direction. It isn't cycling back. My bit is going forward. That's why my horse follows it. It doesn't cycle back to me, which is another reason why I have to keep my reins the proper length. All right. I wanted to stick to straight line elbow to bit. Straight line elbow to bit. Today is December 11th, 2024. It is so rare. We are not seeing it these days. Let's all try to change that in the new year. You know, I'll make a note of that. I'm going to make a note right now. So the second Wednesday in December 2025, we're going to talk about straight line elbow to bit. And wouldn't it be great if we could have 200 examples of it in a year? So let's do that. Okay. So that is an instruction that is in, they all say it, okay? They all say it. It just has to be, we have to obey that rule. Straight line elbow to bit. But remember, it comes from loose, plumb, hanging down, looking ahead riders. Okay, I think I've said enough. I'm going to stop the share. And I'll see